Welcome to the Blogging and SEO show. I'm Michaela, a stay-at-home mom of 3 who just happens to be in love with everything related to SEO, blogging, marketing, coffee, and shedding light into the many mystifying corners of search engine optimization and what that means for us service providers, small business owners, and even bloggers. We're ditching the do-it-all narrative surrounding SEO and blogging and just sitting down and crafting strategies that are sustainable but still get us those first-page, long-lasting results. Now let's get cozy, grab your fave sweater and a cup of tea or coffee, and let's talk everything blogging and SEO. Hello, and welcome back to the Blogging and SEO show. So this week, I'm kind of carrying over into next week's episode and tying back in the past 2 episodes. It's like a mini series, if you want to call it that. But I really wanted to focus on what makes blogging different than other type of content you create and even copywriting, as well as how it kind of partners with SEO. We talked about this in the last episode, What is SEO, or SEO 101, however you want to refer to it, about how blogging is really like an expansion, whereas you're building your foundation with good SEO, which is great, which you need to do, which is why we have, our SEO audit and optimization. But blogging is really building on that foundation. It's building your house. It's decorating it with all these things. It's, fixing your kitchen up so you can host your dinner party. Blogging is what brings it kind of all together and continue to support it. And blogging isn't just a place to drop your thoughts or share your favorite outfit, or what blogging has kind of been popular for right now, specifically as actual bloggers. We're consuming content from influencers and we're like, okay, this is blogging. And yes, it is, but there is also another aspect to blogging that business owners use and can really see results from in their own marketing strategy and to help with that SEO. So I really want to just stress that blogging and blog content is not the same as social media, Instagram, even your email newsletters. Yes, you can repurpose your longer content from social platforms into a blog post and optimize it for SEO. You absolutely can. If that's something you're I don't want to just write a whole bunch of new content or search through my content to find these things, repurposing is a great way to go. And I highly recommend checking out Felly from FD Studio. She knows all about repurposing, and she's going to tell you the same thing though. Every platform your content has to be presented differently. People are consuming it differently. And that's why blogging is the same way. You're consuming this podcast, you're listening to it. This is audio. You might be driving. You might be crocheting. That's what I do. I love listening to podcasts while I crochet. You may be, cleaning your kitchen or just going on a run. All of good things. And the way that you're consuming this is you're listening while, you're moving your body or relaxing or doing whatever you need to do. When you're reading a blog post, or when your audience is reading a blog post, they're probably not running. They're probably not cleaning either. Typically, you have mostly their sole attention, which also means that you have kind of a shorter time frame to deliver the value or to engage your readers so they're willing to spend more time reading. So it's like a good book. In a good book, you have your first chapter, your first pages. And if you're okay, I don't really like this, then you're gonna dip before you even get to the rest. You don't even know what's gonna happen in chapter 9 because chapter 1 didn't entertain you enough and you were just bored out of your mind. That's kind of like how a blog post is. You have to engage your reader or deliver what they're looking for in that beginning before you move on to anything else. And if you want to associate it with something that you probably use on another platform, it's like your hook. But it's not as short as a hook, if that makes sense. You have a bigger opportunity, but you still have a shorter opportunity than, say, the podcast, where, we're already on minute 4? And hopefully you're still here. I'd love it if you're still here. But we can add in these little personal flourishes. don't know how you want to say that, but personal bits. Whereas, yes, you can do that in a blog post, but you do need to keep it shorter and more relevant because reading doesn't have the same intonation than that a podcast does, because you can hear it in my voice. Whereas when you're reading it, you have to kind of guess the intonation and the background and, is this funny? All these different things. So when we say it's consumed differently, it's from multiple different places. You also have to think of the purpose of your blog. In some way, shape, or form, your blog post is educating your audience. It may not be like directly educating how to, like maybe it's not step-by-step instructions or teaching directly, but maybe it's explaining why. It's connecting their problem with your solution. Maybe it's introducing that, hey, you have a problem. There is a solution for this. Even if you're not saying you do X, Y, Z, it's just informing or educating, bringing awareness to your industry, to your offers, to what you're good at, just to your expertise. So when you deliver that, you also have to think, okay, I'm educating. How do people learn? And I've talked about this in a past episode, but you really have to think about how people are consuming it in that aspect too. Just, okay, how are they, how do I need to present this information so that they can actually take it with them? So that they can take the value, they can apply the value to what they're going to do, or they can take in the value and make the decision that, okay, maybe this isn't something I want to do. Maybe it's something I want to outsource, or maybe it's something I need help with, or maybe it's something I want to learn more about and I need to click through to another blog post. Like that is the idea. And there are a bunch of learning concepts that you can use for this. And next week's episode, which I'm very excited for, is actually with Lauren, a learning specialist, which we're going to kind of dive into all the different ways that you can kind of educate your audience and connect with them, and how that's different than what we typically do on other platforms. But once your audience is engaged and you've created this content, this blog content, this long form content that they are going to spend anywhere from, a minute to, I've seen 10-minute read blog posts that people actually read to the end. Do I recommend writing blog posts that are that long? Not usually, but there are occasions. I'm not going to lie, there are occasions, but for the most part, people are going to want you to break that down because not everybody has time to sit down for a 10-minute read. But if you write an engaging enough blog post, you can keep them there for 10 minutes. And the purpose of having that engagement is, you want them to click through to your offers. You want them to click through to another blog post. You want them to click through to learn more about you as a person, or click through to your Instagram where you're really good at having conversations in the DMs and converting, or on your podcast where you're going to have a lot of good conversations. And maybe when they listen, when you have a really good conversion rate when people listen to you. So there's all these different things that go into play. And once you have that engagement, that's when you can kind of think about what happens beyond the blog. And you can think about how your funnels are going to work with it. And that's what I mean when I say going to Instagram or going to a podcast. With blogging, you are creating your funnel as you see fit. Once you have that person engaged, you're going to send them to the platform of your choice or the offer of your choice where okay, this is where I'm really confident. This is where they need to go next. To continue to build that up. This is kind of how blogging works. And I know I'm saying we're going to put it where we want in our funnel, but one of the really cool things about blogging is you can kind of meet people where they're at. You don't have this limit of, okay, I published an Instagram post or a reel, and I know maybe in the first day it's going to get the most attention, or in the first week, that's when it's going to get the most attention. But if I'm publishing pretty consistently, it's going to get buried in my feed after maybe 2 weeks. And that's pretty much it. And then when I want to repurpose it, I'll come back to it and I'll repurpose it. But that original post, it's not really, unless it goes really viral, it's pretty much gone. And I'm not really going to think about it anymore. It's done the work, it's done that engagement right there, and it's served its purpose. With blogging, it's not one post working at a time, or even 2 posts working at a time. every blog post that you write will continue to, that you write and publish and optimize for SEO. Even if you don't optimize for SEO, it's going to stay on your blog. And if you're linking in the correct way and in the strategic way, it's going to continue working for you. And you can, and I keep saying like, even if you're not doing this, if you do SEO, and you should always do SEO when you're blogging, even if like your SEO strategy is not the base of your blog, you should optimize every blog post you create and write, because you can find a best fit keyword. You can take the extra moment or minute. I would say it takes 1 to 3 minutes just to fill in the details of like your page title and your meta description and these all images, unless it's like a really long blog post. And sure, there could probably be a more strategic way to do it, but doing it to begin with and just making sure it's relevant is that first step. It may be the bare minimum, but it is better than nothing. So take the moment to do it, whatever you're writing about. If it is a blog post, optimize it. But when you do create for SEO, your blog posts are going to continue to show up on Google and other search engines. If you're pinning to Pinterest, it's going to continue to exist on Pinterest when people are searching for them. So whether that's your trying to meet people at the beginning of the funnel and just bring awareness to what you do, or maybe you have someone who is like deep into the DIY and are like, I don't know if this is like my final straw and I need to hand it off right at this moment because this next step is just going to, drive me crazy. Those two different pieces of content will be working at the same time and meeting both of those individuals where they're needed, when they're needed, because that same individual could need the intro post now, and then in a month or so when they're deep diving into everything and they may need support, that's when they're going to come to that back post. But it could also be two different people. So you have one person who needs awareness right now, but then you also have another person who has support. There are millions of people in this world. There are millions of small businesses, I think. It's at least a couple $100,000, right? I'm going to say 1 million or 1 million plus. But there are plenty of people you need to talk to right now. And if you're not, if you're not talking to businesses, like there are millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, billions of people that you can reach that are in different stages of their journey that you need to talk to, that you can talk to, that you can help, that you can build awareness now, and that you can convert right now or connect with right now and convert in a year. Like, this is the purpose of blogging and SEO. You're building this long-term funnel that has multiple different entry points from multiple different places that just keeps on working. And that's why I love blogging. But anyway, so if your focus is not SEO, or even if it is, it kind of works both ways. You also have other places you can utilize your blog post. Like I said, you can pin it to Pinterest and it will continue to work in the Pinterest algorithm if you're, utilizing Pinterest SEO when you do your pins. You can send it in your email newsletters. You can send it to potential leads who are like, I'm not quite sure, I would like to learn more. And you can be like, hey, this is a really good resource. You say they asked a question, you can be like, this is a really good resource. This answers your question and a little bit more. Let me know if you have any questions about this. And it still gives that personal touch, but you're also providing more value than you could in maybe a 1-minute voice message, because maybe their problem is more about how to, maybe they need more of a walkthrough, maybe they're trying to see multiple aspects. So you can answer the question there and then also provide an additional resource. So blogging just plays all the roles, you know what I mean? It's my first love. I'm just kidding. It's probably my 10th at this point, because I'm in love with everything. That's why blogging is so different than other content. And now, I kind of talked about what the difference is between social media content and blog content, because we call blog content, and technically, depending on the definition, you can call it copywriting. Many copywriters do blogging. I'm not a copywriter. I will not write your website for you. I can write some hella good blog post, and yes, they can convert and do the work, but I am not a copywriter. I cannot write your about page. I cannot write your services page. That is not me, but I have some really good referrals. And the only reason I'm saying this is content writing is not the same as copywriting. in most aspects, even though there is some overlap. And that is why even the copy that you have on your homepage, it cannot be presented in the same way as you would a blog, or your blog cannot be presented in the same way you would put your copy on your homepage. Like, two different places, same concept, like you're putting words on your website, but they are serving two different purposes, and the layout is way, way, way different. But anyways, I think that was a good rant. Was that a rant? I'm going to qualify that as a semi-informal, informational rant about blogging and SEO. But I hope that kind of gave you some insight into what you can do with blogs, like why they exist and all that kind of good stuff, and why I'm like really obsessed with them. But if there's one thing that you can take away from today, is that blogging serves multiple purposes and that you can meet people in all stages of their discovery of you and what you can do for them if utilized correctly. So take it, love it, don't leave it. And I will talk to you next week. Like I said, next week is a interview. Please tune in. I think it's all good stuff. I feel like it really ties into today's episode as it was supposed to. And then after that, we'll have one more live me. I'm not going anywhere. But one more recorded this month. Not this month, actually. It'll be next month. But it'll be one more live podcast. So like I'm going to record it only a day or so, or maybe on the day of, I don't know yet, that the episode goes live, because my birthday is that first week of December, and I'm actually going to have an episode go live on that day. So I feel like it's just good timing. But like I said, super excited to welcome on some really good speakers I have next week. And then I also have another interview coming onto the show in December. We will not have a Christmas episode, and we may or may not have an episode the week before. It just kind of depends on my chillin', because they will be home. So I don't know how quiet I can make it for a podcast episode. And then we will have another interview in the beginning of the year, the beginning of 2025. I can't believe I have to say that. But we're going to talk about comparisonitis, and I feel like it's a really good episode considering we're hitting it'll be right after year end. Everybody's going to be celebrating their numbers, and it's really easy to fall into that pit of kind of despair of why do I not have this number, or why did I not make this improvement? Where am I going wrong, when that's really not the case. And I really don't want you to beat yourself up about anything. So that's why we're doing that episode. It's already been recorded actually at this point. And it is really good. I absolutely love talking with Sarah from Between the Lines. But that is it for today's episode. I'm done rambling. And I will talk to you next time. Bye. As always, I hope you were able to learn at least one new thing today and how you can apply it to your own business or blog. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Blogging and SEO Show. Don't forget to hit follow so you don't miss the next episode. I promise it's a goodie. And check the show notes for everything we talked about today. And come connect with me on Instagram at kamamama.co. If you have any questions or thoughts you want to share, DM me. Let's chat. Until next time, talk soon.